Hello everyone, Argsy here. Now, if you are a fan of dairy farming, then you will be a fan of this map. It is a dairy farming paradise. This is Stitzer, Wisconsin, made by MRG Mapping, and I'm excited to be able to bring you a bit of a preview of the map. It is a 4x map, so it will be for PC only, as is the sort of status quo for MRG, but little secret, and he's already posted it on Facebook, but the console map is in the works and in consideration, so you might be able to see some of MRG's handiwork on console coming soon. Anyhow, let's dive into the map here in front of us. Now, in terms of the release schedule, it is due out today, in fact, by the time we've released this video, the 22nd of August, US time, MRG's time zone. It is going to be released as an open public beta version for a couple of weeks, where MRG is going to ask you if you'd like to download it, give it a test, realize it's not quite the full and final product, but see if you can find any bugs, any issues, and iron those out with MRG. So on his Facebook page, he will have a post there where you can comment up any issues. The only thing he does ask is that you do try and recreate the issue without any mods installed, just to rule out the fact it could just be a mod conflict or something like that. There's a bit going on with this map, so we will get into that and explain some of those things to you. So let's dive on it, take a look at the PDA, talk about some of those features, and then have a little bit of a look around the map. There we are. This is the PDA for Stitzer, Wisconsin. It is based on a real-world location, the town of Stitzer. You can see the underlay there behind the PDA is an aerial photo of the region, and looking at it on Google Earth, MRG's done a pretty good job at being true to life with where the farms are and things like that, which is pretty cool to see. So we're going to go through and have a little bit of a look. As I said, it is a dairy farming paradise, and to my count, there is 14 different dairy or cattle farms scattered across the map. I have purchased all the farmland so you can see those, and I'll just overlay there where the 14 dairy farms are, so you can see them scattered all around, varying sizes. They all have a varying configuration of barns and pastures and things like that, which is pretty cool. So a lot of variety there. I've got a couple of favorites that I really like. One of the smaller ones down here in the bottom left corner, quite a cool little farm. It's kind of tucked away and a little bit obscure compared to the one here, which is what we're standing. We're not standing, we're standing in front of this one. This one over here is much larger, as you can see by the number of barns and animal triggers on the map. Now, on top of the 14 dairy farms, there is a sheep farm up the top here. There is a pig farm in the middle here. And there is also a contractor farm. So this farm over here is kind of set up to be a contractor. We'll go and take a look at those. There's also a couple of other farms up here. MRG's told me that this one's not quite finished yet and we'll have a pasture probably put with it. This one up here is probably going to be left as is, but these are ones you can use for whatever. They've got silos, old grain bins on them. So if you were more interested in the arable side of things, you could get in there and do that. Like I also explained, I have purchased all the land, so we'll go and look at some prices, but there is 52 purchasable farmlands, which when you look at the map, there's actually 108 fields. So there's quite a number of farmlands which do come with multiple fields. So just take a look there. Like I said, I've purchased everything, but you can see the variety of areas. So obviously this bigger dairy farm down here that I said, farmland number 35, $850,000. Again, there might be some changes there on the land values. That's what you're getting there, 144 acres of land in total. Obviously not all going to be productive farmland. There is a lot of trees and things around there. And you can see the layout of the fields. There's lots of these sort of contoured fields around about with sort of grass and the crop in between. Now the biggest plot on the map is plot number 1 up here. It is 186 acres and is worth just over $1 million, $1.1 million. And the smallest plot that I have managed to find is number 16 right down here. It is a measly 2.6 acres and a value of just under $16,000. So a huge variety, but very cool to see. The farmland through the middle, or the sort of leftover land, is purchasable. Does have a value there of $6.8 million, but of course easy to give. Does make it easy for you to purchase that if you want to, or transfer ownership, as is the way I've done it. There's a couple of other little ones that I've observed, and I have sort of fed this back to MRG. This one over here, and we'll take a look, is sort of 3 fields, but there's sort of grass area in between, which would be nice to be able to own, but at the moment it's part of this sort of county land, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it would be nice to own that. And then you can see another, like this one up here, field 38's not actually part of a farm. There's a few of those scattered around. So like I said, it is going to be released as a beta version, so some of these things might be fixed. Now, what else is there to say about the town? We do have a road, or the map, there's a road that goes right up through the centre. There's another road where down here, like I said before, there's a road that sort of comes across and wraps down around there. these other tracks and trails that link through across, another road up the top, trails and tracks up through the sort of side here, and roads. Everything's pretty well interlinked. There's a little bit of getting around, but it's not too bad. The beauty of it is that everything is pretty central from a buy and sell point. So we have a rather big grain complex here. So you can see we've got animal feed, feeding grain south as a sell point. We've also got some commodity points, so you can lime, liquid fertilizer, solid fertilizer, herbicide, and hydrous. I think and underneath there is sand. So some buy points there for that. We've got the main shop down there, the machinery shop where you can buy all your equipment there as well. Manure buy point, lime station. So there's things scattered all around, but a lot of them are sort of centered here in the middle of the map. Now, taking a look here at crop types, we do have a couple of custom crop types. We've got alfalfa, clover, and triticale as well. So those in there. But where the interesting part really starts is when we look in here at the goods and start to see all the custom fill types that are on the map. And I'll get into those in just a little bit more, but we've got Pioneer brown mid-rib corn, high moisture corn, corn stalks. We've got the alfalfa, propane, and hydrous cracked corn, milled corn, dry corn, inoculant, so on and so forth. There's a whole heap getting down into fertilizers and seeds and things like that. And I'll do my best to try and explain to you what this all means for the game. I know MRG is working with simulation stations to bring some tutorials on how all these features work. So I'm not going to get into those. I'll touch on them, but maybe go check out simulation station for those when the map's released. Like I said, we are down here by this dairy farm. We're going to take a look at that. We'll have a look around the town, and then I'm just going to sort of wander around and just take a look at a few different points. I'm not going to go into every single farmyard and analyze what's there in terms of animal pens, silos, bins, pits, and those kind of things. We'll just go around and have a bit of a general look. It's quite easy to get a good overview of the map. There's actually quite a lot of undulation on it. There's a lot of hills. It's quite rolling country, as you'd expect seeing the contoured fields. So we will go and sort of just fly around having a look at some of these different areas and just give you the sort of general overlook. With 14 dairy farms on their own, it would be a pretty long map tour or map preview to cover them all off. So we will just focus on a couple of them, but give you a bit of a general overview of the map and what you can expect when it is released. So like I said, we'll start off down here and go and have a little bit of a wander around. So starting off down here, this is that first dairy farm I said we would look at. Bottom right corner of the map, we've got the mini map up there so you can see exactly where we are in the corner next to the road and entrance into the farm. Now, one of the things that I admire about MRG is his attention to detail when it comes to farm layouts. As you can see from the image there I've taken from Street View on Google Earth, the maps, as well as he can do without overdoing it with creating extra models and things like that, but just having the sign, the trees along the edge there, the layouts into the yard, you can see the sheds, the top of a silo. It's not 100% accurate, but a lot of the main parts of the app can almost feel like you're at it. And I remember looking at that on Marksville at the same time back in FS19 and thought, wow, that's some attention to detail around the farm layouts. So I do really like that. Now, Swiss Valley Farms, you'll notice these signs around on a few of the dairy farms. From my research, this is a Midwest dairy company in the United States, since been merged or bought by Prairie Dairy Farms, I think it was, but they seem to specialize in cheeses and things like that. So you'll see that sign around, and I'm assuming it's just an indication that this farm supplies to that dairy farm. We have similar things here in New Zealand with our dairy cooperative as well. But just having a look around, we've got a few static objects in there, the Kilbros, gravity wagon, a couple of chopper boxes up there, and the feed grinder, tub grinder there, and then just a good array of sheds. Now this farm has 2 dairy barns on it, one on the right, one on the left. Lots of storage space and lots of space in here in buildings and things like that. Just have a look. Probably have to open that from the inside, do we? Look, like it, but yeah, just like I said, lots of space, lots of storage around here. A lot of the farms, you'll notice there's there's a bit of repeating sheds, but each farm sort of has its own unique style, which I think is pretty cool. Diesel fill point, another big shed in here. Just the decoration as well around, which is good. Makes it feel sort of used farm, which is kind of cool. Got the barn here now. I don't think this has anywhere object storage or anything, or any object storage in it. No, so it would be a prime candidate to get Argsy Gaming's anywhere object storage. We've got one of the dairies just there in front of us, silo here in the centre, and then there's a few other bits and pieces. We've got the feed silo here as well, so the harvest store silo. I do have triggers turned on, so I'm not sure whether this one's missing the triggers or whether the triggers might not have quite been finished off yet, but do have that in there. Just taking a look over here at the barn. See, the cows have space inside and out as well. So, like I said, it is a beta version. It's not quite the final release, so there's still a few little bits and pieces to be finished off. But it's a good looking farm. Nice yard. See the other cows out the back. And one of the features that MRG is hoping to have on here is using whole corn or air corn. So we've got these corn cribs around a lot of places. You can see those there now. Fingers crossed that will be one of the features, and we might just touch on some of the other features as we go around as well. But like I said, another one of the dairies there in the corn cribs. There is, you can see the blue dot on the map. There's another corn crib right out in the distance as well. So yeah, to see. Good variety of things around the back here. Now, one of the other things, there's a lot of these are set up as productions, and at the moment, so you can see down there that corn crib does have the triggers on it. We just go fast down here. Let's go and have a look. We've come up to this one, the service trigger there. We come in here and we can buy this building. Let's go OK on that. Let's just take a quick look in the menu. So you can see there, obviously doesn't have the productions in there yet. So it is going to be set up, but that is the intent there, is to have that air corn. So you've got a fill point in the top and an unload point here. Use an auger to try and get those up into there. So yeah, nice to see some of that. So there we go, that's the first of the yards we've had to look at. Just spinning around, we do have another yard over the road. We've got a silo and things up in there, a little bit of decoration, a few houses, things like that. We're just going to head along this road, and you can start to see the terraced fields and things like that, so it's very cool. I do like the effect it has on it. Obviously done for soil erosion control, to stop all the soil getting washed down into the valleys and things like that. A little bit of a yard there, a whole lot of equipment. I'm not sure whether that's just a staging point to be able to grab those and use them for decorations, but we've got fertilizer spreaders. It's like we've got some anhydrous toolbars and auger, a few different things here, rock picker, a couple of silos, lots of different bits and pieces. This road is going to take us up into town, but just as we do this, I'm just going to talk about a couple of the other features as we run up into here. So the map runs on seed extension, which means it has its own seed systems. You can't buy regular seed out of the map and use those. You have to use the map, the seeds that come modded. So there's going to be seed for corn, BMR, corn, soybeans, wheat, oats, alfalfa, triticale, along with more to be added soon. In terms of making silage, the regular corn cannot be chopped, so you do have to use the BMR corn. So if you're planning on growing corn for silage, for maize, then you do need to use the right seed. The intention is to have a higher feed value in real life with BMR corn, so the yields should be better if you're using that anyhow. MRG is working on the market prices. He's adjusted corn, soybeans, BMR corn, and milk to real life pricing, so it will make the climb and growing a farm a little bit more difficult. But seeds are noted as also being very expensive. However, the usage of these is a lot lower than you might find on other maps, so pay more, don't use quite as much. The map operates on its own animal food ingredients, so it's not compatible with Maize Plus. It will work best using enhanced animal system, but it is not required. MRG's goal is to have an edited enhanced animal system that's specifically for this map. We're just coming along here, sort of heading into the town area. Take a look down here very quickly. This is the Edelweiss Creamery. This is a sell point for your milk. Go and have a look there. There is only a tip point for it. It's not set up as a production as far as I can tell. It's just a sell point. So there you go. You can see we've gone to have a look at milk. We've gone to the milk sales trigger and highlighted it. And this is the trigger here down at the creamery. So at the moment it's only set up that way. Whether it might be a production in the future, only MRG knows. Might want to work on their pest control though there with the deer coming in through the walls. They're magic deer. So let's carry on, heading back into town a little bit further and fly our way in through and check out the sell points in town. So continuing in, we've got the big grain sell point here on the right. That is the main sell point for your grain. There's a load bridge and things like that out the front, so nicely decorated. Again, you're starting to see some different styles of sheds. These ones have the red trim on them, and then you've got sort of the yellow one there with the red roof, but it's quite a nice big grain complex. Drive through in the centre, which is your dump point there to sell your grain at. We've also got the secondary one down here as well. That's there. carrying on into the town. Now just a couple of the other features that I did want to talk about. The map also has its own fertilizer. MRG is working on a mixing station for these. So for now, the solid fertilizer additions only work with the provided spreaders, so you have to add your own fill type to any custom spreaders you want to use. The liquid fertilizers will work with every sprayer, and manure spreaders can now spread lime and liquid manure. And then carrying through, there is also CRP ground on the map, so in order to enter it, you must buy the land and delete the sign. The intent is to add a bunch more CRP ground with fields that Courseplay can recognise. So I guess making fields as if they're from CRP land that you're going to transfer into a field. And lastly, the dealership is open either at 7 or 8 in the morning and closes 12 hours later. You can tell when it's open by the lights being on. If the lights are off, the dealership's closed. You can still open the doors and turn on the lights on your own though, so you can go in and override that. Now this is the commodities area we looked at on the map earlier, so it's at the buy points for sand. Now sand's used as bedding in some of the dairies. We've got lime, then anhydrous, there's liquid fertilizer, there was fertilizer, your solid fertilizers, and this was the last one. Anhydrous there on the left. So 4 or 5 different fill types down here, or fill points down here anyhow, so trying to get down and buy just about anything from here. The only thing it didn't have was the seed. But other than that, and I'll go and explain why, because there's a separate seed store, but there we go. That is the commodities yard where you can come and buy your products. So just taking a look back at the PDA, we started off down at the dairy farm here on the bottom right corner, came along the road. This was the milk sell point we stopped and looked at. Here was the grain sell point that we looked at. The other trigger there that I wasn't quite clear on was an animal feed, so you can buy animal feed from there. Come across and had a look here at the commodities. We've got the lime, sand, liquid fertilizer, solid fertilizer. This was anhydrous, and here was the herbicide, so that was the one I couldn't quite think of at the time. Back down here, there's a reason there's no seed, is it doesn't have a trigger yet, but there is a Pioneer seed shop down there, so you can go down and buy all your seeds from that. And then we've got the vehicle shop down that way as well, along with the manure buy point. We've got a bale sale point, there's the animal dealer, got the wool sale. So a lot of the other areas and the commodities and things like that are pretty much all here centered in. So we'll go down and take a look at the shop, then we'll come over, take a look at this big dairy farm, and then we'll probably just wrap our way up and around the top and just fly over a couple of the other dairy farms, just to give you a bit of an overview of the map. Back into town we go. I'm going to head down to the right here, go and find the vehicle shop. Back down this road, see a lot of houses. There is a lot of houses, and sort of laid out how the actual town is. Right here, we've got our machinery, which is our Prairie State tractors on the right there, and a gas station on the left. This is where you'd come down to buy all your equipment. Trigger there, you can see it through the window on the side. Lights are on, so everything must be open. And then if we just carry on, we've got on the left here is our animal dealer. You come down and buy your animals. There's also the bale sell point. And then on the right, this is what I was referring to as the Pioneer seed shop. You can see the sale representative is MRG Mapping. And then we've got the silos and things around the back. There's also a lime trigger in here. In fact, let's go and have a look inside. So we can get this door opened up. Here we go, so a few pro boxes and a whole lot of pallets of seed. We've got the trigger down the end there, whether that is for the seed or just for lime. Just have to figure that one out when you come in here, but yeah, nice little bit of decoration with all the different Pioneer signs around and things like that. The stakes, the signs that are put in out of the fields. Nice to see. Right, let's whip our way back around here and we'll carry on. We'll fly across the map and go and check out some more of the farms. It's carrying on, heading down to the south. We're just going to cruise along the road here. A little farmyard just there, a little shed at least. There's a couple of these little sheds along here, so if you want to start out small, you do have that opportunity. And we're just, instead of going all the way to the bottom of the map, I'm just going to kind of head across here just to give you a bit of the lay of the land with the undulations, the way these contoured fields work. Quite nice to see. This is one of the cool little farmyards which is kind of tucked in and out of the way down the bottom there. Nice to see that one. And then we head across into what is probably the biggest dairy farm on the map. This one has a lot of different pastures in it, a lot of different dairy barns, things like that. So probably if you were wanting to be a big time dairy farmer, this would be where you'd be heading. We've got the grain silo there on the right. With a manure pit out here, or slurry pit, a few silage bunkers as well. Manure pit there on the back. And then you just see all the different dairies. Got the open stall there for calves or heifers. There's a couple that are actually specifically named heifers. This sort of farm just sort of wraps around, goes all the way around here. I've got another different shed here on the front. Down there. Again, more cows in that one. Another one there on the right. And just a lot of sheds sort of scattered around. So this is truly a rather large dairy farm with lots of spaces to keep animals. So we'll be keeping you busy. You can start to see some pastures out here too, where they do have the space to roam, and in some areas we do see them wandering out into the pastures as well, which is very nice to see. I do like the way that the animals walk around on the pastures. I'm looking forward to seeing what FS25 might bring for the same. So let's carry on over this way. Like I said, that's probably one of the biggest dairy farms on the map, and this is probably one of my favourite dairy farms on the map. Tucked right down in here, right in the bottom corner. Quite a small little dairy farm, nice and compact, but a little bit different to the rest. It's got a different colouring, just the way it's kind of tucked down in here. You've got the steep hill up behind it, and then the trees sort of wrapping in around it. So quite a nice little setup. Slurry tank on the left, got a couple of silage bunkers there, the harvest store, sort of that raised or elevated barn, the main animal barn down here, and the fields around it, you know, still having the contoured look. I'm carrying around here, the old tractor in there, looks like an Alice Chalmers. What else have we got? Sort of storage space down and underneath that barn, got the open shed in the house. Just a nice little compact farmyard, and sort of one that sort of, as I was flying around looking at this one, really caught my eye. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind running a farm down in here. Well, there we go. Can't dwell on them for too long because we will be here forever, and I don't want to keep you. So we'll just carry along. We're going to fly up this way. Not a huge amount to see through here. There's a lot of tracks, there's a lot of trees, there's a lot of fields all sort of scattered around. And part of what I really enjoy about this map, just from looking around it, is some of these places that just got this really cool vibe. You sort of get into a field like this and you've got trees around you, you've got the contouring and things. You can come through here and mow the grass, take some hay off that while your crops are growing. It just feels nice. I just do like it. It's sort of intimate would probably be the best way to describe it. For a 4x map to have little spaces like this, it's pretty cool. So there we go. We'll head up into the sort of middle up here, or nearer the halfway up the farm. The farm over there on the right. So many, they're everywhere. Stop at this one, grab our bearings on the map, and then we'll carry on heading up towards the top of the map. But again, carrying on the theme of what I said earlier, is each farm is distinctly different in its look, in the style of sheds, the colour of the sheds, and the way they're all laid out. So again, this one's kind of the red farm. Moving up this way, you probably have to use case equipment, maybe a little bit of Massey Ferguson or something in here. But again, another nicely laid out farm. Just a nice combination of things. Just feel really well laid out. I think there's space for manoeuvring around as well. Different shaped barns or different shaped pastures and animal enclosures. It's a nice little bit of variety there. Imagine doing this on a multiplayer with a dozen dairy farmers. It'd be quite chaotic. Right, let's take a look at the map again. So we are up here, sort of halfway up the map again. We started off back in the middle of town. We came down the bottom, sort of cut across here, caught a glimpse of this farm, had a good look around this big dairy farm, and checked out what was my favourite before we came across these fields and found this red one up here. So we'll carry on up, fly over these. Won't pay too much attention to them in terms of looking at how they're laid out. And head across here. We'll stop briefly, check out the sheep farm here, and then we'll go over and take a look at these farms. We're coming back down and heading towards the centre of town. Carrying on, heading towards the top of the map. Again, just some great fields. I don't think there's any square fields on the map as you'd expect with the sort of contouring that's going on here. Very difficult to have a nice flat square field. Looking at this one over here on the left with the soil on it, might be one of the most regular ones that we've got. This one just running along here is not too bad a shape, but definitely some unique challenges that will come with the different field shapes. Farm here on the right's got 3 or 4 different harvest stores, so quite a big setup. farm here on the left, which is just a little bit smaller. Quite so much going for it. And then carrying across one of the roads, this is kind of the road that dissects across the corner. Keeping on moving up and across here. We're going to be at the sheep farm very, very soon. Sure, we do go and find that. Once again, another dairy farm down in here. Good mix of things. We've got the corn cribs, see a Quonset shed up there, a couple of dairy farms, a couple of barns. For your animals, so lots going on in that one. And then you've got your neighbours there right on your doorstep. So they are hanging out very, very close. And I think we've actually gone past the sheep pasture. We went further than we intended. I do believe it is the right hand of these two farms up here. So we'll go down and take a look at that. Got the other dairy farm. Just for the bearings, back in there we can see the grain silos and that, so that's the town and pretty much the centre of the map. So we're flying over it pretty quick, covering a lot of ground, but yeah, there we go. So that was the one with the 4 silos. We should have stopped down in here as we went over. So this is actually the road that comes out of the centre of the town. See our sheep pasture here, nice big pasture, lots of space for them, and good space in there for storage. Got the shed here in the foreground, a couple of open sheds at the back. The sort of shop building there as well, and the silos, so plenty of space, lots of nice manoeuvring area, a little bit of a different sort of sheep barn. Space in here for them, your feed triggers probably come down the side for your grass, feeding and everything in there, as well as having the big pasture and the dam as well. So we'll carry on now into this direction and check out these last couple of areas. Now I hope I'm not going across it too fast, but I do find that I just want to be able to share as much of this with you, give you that sort of general feel for the map, rather than focusing and dwelling too much on how each individual farmyard is laid out, what kind of space it's got, what sort of sheds it all has and everything like that. I think that's part of the fun, is learning about a map, seeing how it looks as it catches your eye and something you might want to play on, and then going in there and spending that time sort of uncovering what you might find as your favourite farm. One that's sort of tucked down in the bottom of a valley, sort of terraced across it as well. Decent amount of sheds in here. One thing, these, what would I call these forage bags are actually usable as forage or for silage, so you've got a tip trigger and a load trigger in them. A little bit different to using, say, the ag bagger. They're just there as a sort of static trigger where you can store them, so it basically acts as a silo, your silage. Corn crib down in this one as well, and a couple of pastures. But isn't it nice just sort of looking across there? And I really enjoyed grabbing the shots for the montage at the introduction to just check out the map. It's a good way to see the map and sort of see some of these cool little areas. So the cows down here stretched out in the pasture with the bridge down the bottom being right down into the stream. Sort of just enjoying their time out here in the morning sun. We're right over on the, what would be the right hand side of the map at the moment, and heading back down towards the south. Farmhouse here. These are a few of the bigger fields, the ones that are probably less interrupted by the contouring over here. So again, if you're more interested in the arable farming, and there's plenty of space to do that, these fields are still pretty big. I mean, this field 55 area is 76 acres, so it's still a pretty big chunk of land. Now this is the area just in here that I pointed out earlier, so as much as it'll be nice, some of these green areas, while they look like grass, aren't actually purchasable without buying the centre part of the map for that $6 million. So hopefully, and yeah, MRG will get a chance to look at that and get that fixed. Make it so it's all part of it, and we're kind of back to where we started. The farm down there, right down the bottom, is where we all started things out and came up the road here towards the town. Fly over this one. Again, lots of the same features. Got a silo, they have a corn crib, got space for animals. It's very, very consistent and very, very the same. And like I said, lots of different tracks linking things up though. So we've got a dirt track there that kind of goes down and around, links some of the farms up, compared to sort of the main roads that go through the town and link everything up that way. So there we go. Stitzer, Wisconsin by MRG, a 4x map for PC, releasing today, 22nd of August US time, as a public beta for a couple of weeks to test things out and sort of stress test it and figure out using crowdsourcing to try and test out the map and make sure all the bugs have been ironed out, which I don't disagree with doing. As long as people are respectful of that and understand it as a beta, I think that's quite a good way to do it. There's a few other things MRG sort of mentioned that he'd love to integrate into the map. I think he's realised with the life cycle of 22 ending soon that this map might never be truly finished to include all of the things that he wanted it to. So just bear that in mind, but definitely for me feels more finished than we might have seen from some MRG maps recently. So it's pushing the boundaries a little bit with some of the feed systems, with the seed systems, to add to that level of realism. Is it needed? I'm not sure. I'm sure some people will really like that, others will become incredibly frustrated by it, but you know, it is there, it is something you can do. Whether it might be better off just relying on mods like the realistic seeding mod and using that if someone wants to be able to just use the standard seed, whether that's a better option. That's not for me to say, but it is a consideration. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this map preview. Once again, thanks to MRG for sharing it with me and allowing me to take a look at it. And like I said, check out Simulation Station. He's going to have a few tutorials on how to use some different bits and pieces around the map, how things work. So that might give you a little bit more guidance, make things a little bit clearer on some of those features. So go and check him out. I'll make sure I leave a link down in the description. And last but not least, if you do wish to support MRG and show him some support, he does have a Patreon. So you can go and show him some support there for the time and effort he has put into creating this map. So there we go. Hope you found this map preview useful. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.